Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to do a walkthrough on kind of the basic functions and how this heat cable works in your gutter system and how it can clear water off your roof during the colder months, eliminate ice damming, and get the water off your roof and down to the ground. So they do make these roof heat cables, and this is all commercial stuff we're going to be talking about today. They do make the Home Depot special, we call it spaghetti wire, that is really small, and it does a decent job for a standard house down in a valley. But if you're in the mountains or you're having ice damming issues, this commercial stuff is going to last a lot longer and it's a lot tougher. So this is what we install. We don't really mess with the Home Depot style at all. We kind of let the handyman in the area deal with that, and it just honestly doesn't last very long. So this is kind of what we're going to be focusing on. They do make this in two different voltages. They make it in 240 volt, which is the bigger style. It's all the same size, but the 240 volts a little more efficient, and you hook up to 240 volt power. And they also make it in 120 volt, which you can hook on a standard electrical splice to this to a plug-in. So that's one benefit of going with the 120 volt if you don't have too big of a project and you're trying to get away with just doing a plug-in type system. So you can do it either way. A few of the basic parts that we have here are roof clips. These go up on the roof. They're sealed on with we use a 2-inch roofing screw with a rubber washer. You put on like a quarter-size dab of sealant on the bottom of these, push them on the roofing, and put that 2-inch roofing screw through there. These are Raycam branded ones. They seem to work pretty good. They hold up really well. They're just aluminum, but they're nice because they're gray and they blend in with the roofing well. Later we'll show you an example of a different brand clip. Same idea, just they're steel and they're a little shinier and they kind of look obnoxious on the roof. So we usually use the Raycam ones. Next there's a few different styles of end caps. So this is like an end seal for the end of your run of heat cable. This is just a clamp-on style. You peel this, I'll show you how to do this, but you peel this outer layer back, slide these on, and they work pretty good. They also make a heat shrink style that has two different layers. You put one over the ground and then one over the end and glue it together with your pliers. You heat it up and get that glue melted together with your pliers and let it cool. So that seals the end that way. So when I'm installing this stuff, you just kind of want to keep a general idea in mind of what its function is. You want to make sure you're getting the water off of the warm part of the roof that's melting, and then the outer eave part is where that water freezes and creates an ice dam. So you're wanting to cut channels through that ice dam and get the water draining into the heated gutter and down the heated downspout to the ground. If you keep that in mind while you're installing this stuff, it helps a lot. These are the other type of roof clips I was telling you about. The same idea. These have a little split line in them that break in half, and you can make a single clip just like this one with them. The next thing you want to look at is how far up that ice dam is occurring. So depending on how big the eave length is and how big your soffit is down here, I usually try to get about 8 inches above that warm wall. However, so you kind of measure your soffit and put your heat cable on the roof about 8 inches past that where that wall's at. I call these outer edges the drip loops. These get that warm water off the roof and into the gutter, and then in the gutter you have a heat cable in here. This is just a sample, but you get that water down into the gutter, and then the heated cable in the gutter gets it out and down the downspout. So if you kind of look at it as a system, that's the main function. Just get the water off the roof, into the gutter, down the downspout, and so it doesn't cause any problems. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of do a little walkthrough for you on kind of what this stuff looks like inside and how to put an end cap on. And it kind of shows you a little bit more of how it works. So the instructions on these Raycam end caps: you trim this outer layer back 1 inch and you peel that off. This is just kind of an outer protective layer. And this wire right here, this woven outer wire, is the ground wire. So when we don't ever hook this up, but when the electrician hooks it up, you just take this ground wire and kind of get it all, turn it into one wire, and then that's how you hook up your ground on it. So just keep that in mind. This outer wire is the ground, and then you can see inside there's 2 wires inside, and on 120 volt, one of them is neutral, one of them is hot, and on 240 volt, they're both hot wires. Okay, so when you're doing an end cap, the basic thing you're trying to do is just to get this ground wire trimmed back to where it won't touch either hot wire at any point. So you get it trimmed back a little ways, make sure it's trimmed back enough to where it can't touch the hot wires at all. And with the Raycam End Cap, these have a pinching system in them. They're designed to pinch right onto this middle sheath. You don't do anything with the 2 hot wires. All you do is press this on. There's a little bit of gel that comes out, and it's locked on there now. So that's all you do to do the Raycam ones. Pretty simple and easy. Okay, so the heat shrink version, they come with 2 separate sheaths. This smaller one is kind of just to make sure this ground gets sealed away from everything. I just use a little, you can use a lighter if it's not windy at all, but I usually use these little butane torches, or I usually have a MAP gas torch in all my trailers, so use one of those. But this stuff has glue in it, so you warm it up to where it all shrinks, and then you can kind of see the glue oozing out a little bit, and that's when you know everything's sealed. These are all waterproof connections and seal kits, so that glue inside seals to everything, and that's what allows it to be waterproof. And then I usually kind of move them around a little bit with my fingers to make sure that that glue seated everywhere. And you can see a nice bead all the way around there. It's all sealed up. And then you put the outer one on. You just have it stick out about, it kind of covers the ground and everything, and you have it stick out about 1 inch. It's the same thing. Slide it on there about 1 inch out from the tip, and then just kind of evenly warm up the outside. It'll start shrinking on there. And I usually start from the middle and work to the outsides. That way you don't get any big air bubbles locked in there. And then once you get this top part nice and warm and all that glue's melted and it looks like it's about as small as it's going to get, you just take a pair of pliers and kind of squish that glue together. Okay, so then we got our end caps on. This is a power entry kit. We let the electricians do this, but just to kind of give you an idea of what they work with, this is called just a power entry connection kit. So it's a watertight setup. This is a threaded fitting that goes into a J-box on an electrical panel, or an electrical J-box. They make faceplates that thread right into this, and then this kind of clamps down, and there's a rubber gasket in there that just kind of pinches everything tight and seals it up. So when I leave these ends for an electrical contractor, I usually leave them a couple feet extra to where they need to go, and when I'm looking at the job with them to begin with to bid it, I make sure they have them pinpoint where their electrical box is going to be, and then I get them a couple extra feet ready to go, so that way it's easy for them to hook everything up, and they can always trim this back if they need to and wire everything together. So this is a power entry kit. This is the best way to do this. 240, this is the only way to do this with 240 volt cable, just because you can't hook in a plug-in for it. So they do make a splice kit and a T kit for this heat cable also, and from my experience, those are kind of like the major failure points of these systems. So we usually try not to use them. Say there's a downspout in the middle of a run that you're not getting power to or from. Instead of doing a splice and putting a heat cable down a downspout, what we try to do is just do a loop. And so that way there's no splices, it's all one continuous cable, and it leaves a lot, makes the whole system more reliable and just less things to go wrong. So that's one kind of thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind when you're working with 120 volt or 240 volt is the length of the system. That kind of has some part to do with how you choose what voltage to go with, besides what the electrician recommends. 240 volt is more efficient, so as long as you have the right power connection and the electrician's willing to do it, and there's enough room in the power panel for a double slot breaker, 240 volt is recommended. 120 volt works fine up to about 150 feet is about max you want to go on 120 volt. And then 240 volt, you can go all the way up to 450 feet. That is a pretty long stretch, but you can make that work with a 40 amp breaker. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys learned something new today about heat cable and kind of how we do it. If you guys like the video, make sure and click the like button. Subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos like this. And comment below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.